Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Joseph Rothschild, aka MBT, and I am joined by the milkiest man in gaming, Mr. Kenobi, or can I call you Pleasant? How are you doing today?
Yeah, milkiest man in esports entertainment is how we go with it, because that's the joke was based on that whole thing. I'm good today. If I'm going to mention this right up top, I've been telling you before we start recording. It's 30 degrees in my office, centigrade. It's peak summer. My hay fever's awful. That's why I'm sweating. MBT doesn't make me that nervous. He makes me nervous, but not that nervous.
I have that effect on people. For those of you that live in the freedom-loving and, stable United States of America, 30 degrees is roughly equal to 2,000 degrees in the States. It's bad over there. And they still haven't figured out how to make air conditioners. It's not good.
Yeah, it's illegal, actually. It used to be only the Queen was allowed air conditioning. It's kind of like swans, if you're aware of the laws around swans in the UK. British people can't eat swans. Only the royalty can eat swans.
I didn't know you all wanted to eat swans. Was that people were beating down the door?
I don't know. I guess we have weird parts of the country like you guys do, right? Where people out on the sticks are running over swans in their cars and eating them. That's actually illegal. So
this is going well already. I mean, so we're here to do one of those slop-ass videos where I find someone who doesn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I go, you don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at these Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, idiot. But we're going to do it a little differently. I have made 5 completely fake Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And I have thrown them into a pile with 12 real ones. So in batches of 3, I'm going to ask you to kind of intuit what a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card is allowed to do. And I'll give you a little bit of context for each one. Hopefully this will be comprehensible to those watching. But even if it isn't, they've put up with worse for sure.
What's the popular one for these ones? Why is this card banned or not? That's the default one, right? You're trying to break out of that mold. We're not throwing shade or anything at CGB or anyone. We're not going to name anyone like CGB.
Yeah, like Simo. Not like Simo, like Simo. No, listen, Simo's a good friend of mine. The reason I'm not doing exactly his video format is not because I don't respect it. It's because he will initiate a lawsuit. He will bring me to court if I steal his format. I do want to give you a quick heads up. Do not be thrown off by any of the art or anything like that. I've stolen all of it. It's from other Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, even if it's on a fake Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. And if any of the grammar or types of trap card is messed up, that is because I entered it wrong on the card maker, not because the card looks like that in real life. We've got a number of cards here, and I'm going to try and give you a little bit of background for each series of cards. So the first we're going to do are floodgates. I guess I would refer to them in Magic the Gathering as prison pieces, suppression field and the like. The difference is, whereas in Magic something like Stony Silence would be kind of the gold standard for what a piece that restricts your action is allowed to do, in Yu-Gi-Oh! We just have cards that say you can't play green. That's the closest analog.
We kind of have those too, but they cost a lot of mana. They're not free on the first turn.
Yeah, Choke, I guess, is close.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you 3 of these, and I want you to figure out which one is fake. We're going to begin with Poisonous Winds, Non-Fusion Area, and Sealed Deck. A little pun there. So Poisonous Winds is a continuous spell card, means it comes down on the very first available turn. It prevents wind monsters from being special summoned, and the ones that are on field lose attack. Non-fusion area is a continuous trap. It means you have to wait 1 turn before activating it, but it says neither player can fusion summon. And Sealed Deck is a card with a bit of a narrower application, but ends up mattering a lot more. This is another continuous trap, and it says cards cannot be drawn except during draw phases.
So I did an episode of about floodgates and stacks pieces with Simo recently. None of these cards came up, frustratingly. I thought I was going to get you with some...
he showed you a skill drain, and you would go, oh, I remember skill drain. I see what's going on here.
Well, if he did show me these, I'm so magic pilled that I can't remember any of them. Do wind monsters even exist? Is this your first real gotcha?
Ooh, there's no such thing as a wind monster?
Yeah, you're really getting me with some absolutely fictional stuff.
No, 6 attributes, water, wind, fire, earth, dark light.
Oh, so wind does exist. Okay,
yes.
Going through them a little bit. So wind monsters exist. How good can they be? Maybe it's an old card, that's why it's cutting out of color. You did kind of hint at that. So, and one of these is fake, not 2. One of them.
One of them is fake, yes.
Oh my god, this is so much harder than I thought. Non-fusion area saying neither player can cast fusion summons. That seems too, two-sided. It's too, needs the parity breaking, and I always thought floodgates were really brutal in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then Sealed Deck is cards cannot be drawn except during draw phases. I have no way of actually determining why I feel this way, but I feel like non-fusion area isn't the real one.
It is the real one. Sealed Deck is the fake card here. You were spot on the money about Floodgates being absolutely brutal in Yu-Gi-Oh! Non-fusion area doesn't see... I will first and foremost just cop to this. None of these cards see play. They have popped up occasionally, and they're constantly mentioned as things that might be a problem someday. Non-fusion area is the one that's seen the most play because you play it in a deck that doesn't perform fusion summons. And that's, that's it.
Yeah.
But
and I guess fusion summons ever been good?
Yes. The thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is they're so willing to reimagine what any individual summoning type can be. Every summoning type, no matter how much investment it requires, no matter how bad the end goal of the summoning conditions are, it will eventually see play in some way, shape, or form, if only because the developers see it as a challenge. Rituals were a type of summoning that were released in like 2002. Terrible stuff. They require like 3 cards to summon for like a vanilla 9/9. But they have been meta-relevant a dozen times as they find new ways to push the boundaries on what you're allowed to do with them, how they're allowed to be summoned, and the like. So everything's been playable once. These cards can be way narrow to target those. It just so happens we have better options in these individual slots.
Okay, so non-fusion area is not going to suddenly be meta-relevant when they do fusion in the next set then? It's not going to be like that?
No, the couple of formats where it was playable, I think were like Shadow formats in which fusion was just everywhere. Like people were just going for it.
Oh my goodness, that was actually really hard, and I literally could not get any context clues for it. Okay, I'll get the next one.
This next one has to do with a class of cards that I'm very happy they don't print anymore. These are cards with incredibly narrow applications. Cards that hose exactly one named card. This is a early Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Dark Hole, of course, is probably a really powerful card you might be familiar with. They printed a card called White Hole, and it says if your opponent casts Dark Hole, counter the Dark Hole. Turns out that that's not a very good effect, but not before these 3 came out. Weather Report, a card that hoses Swords of Revealing Light. Jar Robber, a card that hoses Pot of Greed. And Stillness of the Tomb, a card that hoses Monster Reborn.
Okay, so I have heard of both Pot of Greed and Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn's a reanimation effect?
Yes, it's just I
Straight up reanimate.
Yeah.
But in Magic, reanimate does damage to you equal to the CMC of the creature, right? So
yeah, they just let you have it.
So I've heard of those. However, that doesn't necessarily mean you've had like strict direct hoses. Now, Pot of Greed was banned quite early on, I believe. When was Pot of Greed banned?
It was banned in 2004 on the first ever ban list.
So
wait, I'm totally lying. It was banned a little after that.
Okay, so Pot of Greed being banned doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't a hoser, because we see it in Magic where like a certain card becomes like omnipresent because it's the only way to counteract a good strategy, right? So that's not really telling me it wasn't banned. However, one of my thought processes here is that Pot of Greed is so famously a meme that like transcends Yu-Gi-Oh! It's your one normie meme, right?
Exactly.
That I feel like Jar Robber would have at least somehow leaked into my peripheral vision as a card game YouTuber and card game aficionado, right? So that's ringing alarm bells that no one's ever said, what does Pot of Greed do? And then someone's like made some shit Jar Robber joke.
Got ya, you know.
Yeah, so that's weird. This art for Weather Report is incredible. And you're telling me that's actually on a real Yu-Gi-Oh card somewhere else?
This is on a real Yu-Gi-Oh card. Yeah, it's so good. It's like real 2002. It's kind of one of our Stasis style cards.
Sure. I always make this joke. This is the bit that the comment section are going to hate. I always make this joke that Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the worst looking card games of the... I don't know if that's going to upset you as well. Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, your UI elements sometimes are a bit clustered, and sometimes your art is... This is incredible, though. This is not an example of bad. I'm loving this.
No, it's wonderful. He has like the cloud. You can't really tell if it's a fart or a tail.
Yes.
You are right, though. It's kind of weird. The Yu-Gi-Oh card, like the physical card, just looks awful. It'd be like if Magic never updated the frame.
Yeah, your comment section gonna hate it. I'm glad you just like thrown me a bone there or pulled me out of that hole.
No, it's totally correct. I will say there is a companion product to Yu-Gi-Oh called Rush Duel, which is meant to kind of like simplify it, and it would be like what if Yu-Gi-Oh was made in 2020 instead of 2002.
Cool.
And one of the things they did was update the card frame, and it looks like There's so much, like, there's a lot different. It's like, there's no reason for all of the individual stars to be there. There's no reason for the art to be in a little square, but I don't know. I have no idea why.
Yeah, it looks like to me, it looks like a One Piece or like a Vanguard or any of the other Japanese card games, which is not a criticism. It's more like, updated design sensibilities that a lot of them follow for a good reason, right?
Yeah.
But I guess in some ways, though, as a counter argument, and this is a bit of a tangent, Magic doesn't look like Magic anymore. Like the fact that your card game continues to look like your card game is actually a positive. Okay.
I went to a Modern night recently, and someone was playing the black white blink deck, and they played a Kentramosa, I think is the name of the card.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, this is a Magic card.
Is it the golden fist foil? Please show them on screen now. They're I think they're really funny. But the Magic community did not react well to them. They're so golden that they look like someone has made a card out of urine. We
have a gold rare as well, and had that exact same problem. We were like, these look like piss. They look like piss. They're awful.
I'm actually starting to collect the piss foil lands just so I can have an entire piss mana base. But as you can tell, yeah, so I'm criticizing the aesthetics of Yu-Gi-Oh! As I'm like, actually, what if we completely fuck the aesthetics of Magic? I'm into it. Anyway, on topic. And Weather Report is a flip card that destroys the Sword of Revealing Light.
A flip monster has to be set beforehand, and if it's attacked or on a future turn, you can flip summon it by putting it face up, and then its flip effect will trigger.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of quick investigation here. What is Sword of Revealing Light? Can you give me a convincing... Again, you do this double thing where you're like, the card it's referencing isn't even real. Are you going to show it to me?
Post it. Yeah.
Oh, that's not even a clue. Shit.
The short of it is, your opponent cannot attack for 3 turns. I'm
going to say Jar Robber. I'm trying to be smart about this, and I don't know if I can be. Simply because I've never, ever heard it referenced, and that is amazing to me. That Pot of Greed is so famous, and this has never been mentioned.
Well, the actual truth of the matter is that normies just aren't very good at finding the follow-up meme. Jar Robber does exist. It's never been good. It's never been anything resembling playable. None of these cards have. Sure. Which is kind of the clue. Stillness of the Tomb is really good. Like, the text on it reads kind of crazy. It's like Bajuka Bog plus you draw a whole bunch of cards. And that is...
Yeah, the draw of the card seems absolutely insane. That card seems...
Yeah, it's far too strong, and is the one that I made up. There is a card that hoses Monster Reborn. It literally just reads, negate the Monster Reborn.
Interesting that Pot of Greed was so good, and the counterspell for it, that also draws you a card, doesn't do anything.
The short of it is, prior to the first limited list, Pot of Greed was played at 3 in everything, but no one was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It existed as like a thing to sell little children. When people started taking it seriously, Pot of Greed was limited, and so you're playing Jar Robber to negate a one-of that your opponent might not even see.
Right.
It was a little too narrow in its application.
That makes a lot of sense now. Because we've had it in Magic in the past with the old Legend rule, where people, if you played the same Legend that your opponent has played, it would kill them both. It's like you're both summoning the same creature and they're torn out of existence. So like Umezawa's Jitte and different versions of Jace have been played specifically to counter the opponent's copies of Umezawa's Jitte and Jace. So I was assuming that situation, if it existed, it would have been played because of how good draw 2 for 0 is. But like you said, if it's limited down to 1, that affects it too. And interesting.
So these next 3 are all going to have to do with special summoning. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, the primary way to perform a summon is specially. Early on, the mechanics of the game were such that you got 1 normal summon per turn, and under very specific conditions, you could perform a special summon. Cards that would be like, you could special summon this card by banishing 4 cards from your graveyard or something ridiculous. These days, that's all people do. Every single card has some sort of special summoning condition, and if you're not performing like 6 or 7 special summons a turn, you're losing. So cards that say you can't special summon are really, really good, and also many of them are banned. So I'm going to show you 3 cards here. One of them has been banned, and one of them is, of course, fake. Field of Folly is a continuous spell. It says while you have no cards in your hand, neither player can special summon monsters. The second is called Vanity's Emptiness. It's a continuous trap. Neither player can special summon monsters, but if a card is sent from the deck or field to the graveyard, this card is destroyed. And then just like Weather Report, Guard Dog is a flip monster that says your opponent cannot special summon for the rest of the turn.
That's one hell of a sun you've stuck on Field of Folly. It's distracting me almost. It's distracting me from the Vanity character showing off their interbits. Although I guess that's not actually the art for the card, right? So that isn't Vanity showing off their emptiness.
No, it totally is. Quick heads up. This art has been changed in the TCG. They censored the middle, so it's just a big white coat of nothingness.
Well, that kind of fits the card art name, I guess. Too many thighs, is that the problem?
Yeah, it's also like they're very hairy. I don't know what's going on here.
We've got the uncensored emptiness of vanity's coat. We have a dog, which I assume is perspective. It's not bigger than that house.
It's a very small house or a very big dog.
Or it could be a house in the distance. I'm assuming. Oh, but the goblin is small as well. Okay, and then this fucking sun staring into my soul. Okay, so while no cards in hand, neither player can special summon. That seems reasonable. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the graveyard, break it. That seems like a card they're trying to balance. And the guard dog is a normal summon.
So to use guard dog, you would have to set it and then on a future turn flip summon it.
I think guard dog's the fake one. It seems too boring.
It is boring. It is real, unfortunately.
This is so hard. What the hell?
I know. Yeah, I'm realizing there's you are fucked on this. My process of elimination.
Yeah, there's so little context for me. I'm at least with the pot of greed one. I was like, I've heard of pot of greed. This could give me some clues, but which one's fake? Then?
Field of Folly is fake. This Hellbent effect, no cards in hand. It would be trivially easy to set up. So it would just be neither player can special summon monsters. But Vanity's Emptiness, despite having this self-destruction condition baked in, is banned. There are some situations where you activate Vanities, your opponent has spot removal, and then you get 2 for 1. But more often than not, it's if you don't have spot removal, I do just win on the spot. There's nothing you can do.
Is guard dog playable?
There are some decks that try to use some really niche cards that flip it up on your opponent's turn so they can special summon on their own turn. Largely, it is not good.
And how do you flip it? What is the condition?
So you can flip it at any point during your turn, as a sorcery speed effect. You can't flip it on your opponent's turn unless you have a card that, a trap card that says flip up a monster you control.
Sure.
This next one is the one that I felt bad about making because it's very difficult and there's no way that you'll get it, but that's no different than the rest of these. So this one is about zones. So in Magic, you guys can just play cards forever. In Yu-Gi-Oh, we have 5 monster zones and then 1 extra monster zone up top. And those are the only places you can play your creatures. As a result, there are some cards that interact with the zones, which is, I guess, exciting. We've got Voltester, Gearshift Golem, the Salted Earth, and Kinetic Puppeteer. Voltester has some of my favorite text ever. If this is special summoned to a zone a link monster points to, destroy all the link monsters that point to this card, then destroy all other monsters that those link monsters pointed to, and follow the link arrows of all those destroyed monsters, destroying everything they point to, and repeating the process until there are no more to destroy.
Okay, I think that was straight away. I think one's real. It's so convoluted. I don't know if you're going next level and hitting me with that you're creating that level of convolution. So I think before I read the other two, that one is real.
It's like if I tried to write Chains of Mephistopheles.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm assuming you're so entrenched in Yu-Gi-Oh. Just look at the 3 names here. All 3 names feel very Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah.
So I'm yeah, he has played so much Yu-Gi-Oh. He's so Yu-Gi-Oh brained. He's writing solid names. Have you seen the Well Actually segment where they're naming is it Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic Dragons and they're saying dragon names?
Ooh,
have you seen that?
I have not. Oh, I will look that up.
And it's so if you played either game even a little bit, it's solid because all the Yu-Gi-Oh names are weirdly religious and have a Yu-Gi-Oh tinge to them, and the Magic ones feel, dare I say it, more traditional fantasy sounding. Where Yu-Gi-Oh want to be what we call Volty. I can't even think of it right now. It's good. But you are nailing it here. Where I'm
Hellfire, the Blazing Bombardment or something, and the Yu-Gi-Oh card is named Catholica.
Yes, yeah. It's literally referencing the Catholic Church for some reason that no one understands.
Stigmatized dragon. Another tangent. We actually just they've been doing a short form YouTube anime series over the last couple of months on one of Yu-Gi-Oh's pages. And today we got adapted one of the stories we were most excited for, which is a group of Catholics that find a dragon, basically. And the in-universe stand-in for Catholics, we translated as Dogmatica, which is cool. But the actual name of them was the Stigmatica. And I was like, that's cooler. We should have gotten that. So the next one is called Gearshift Golem, the Salted Earth. Big guy, 3k, 25. As a quick effect, that would be just any effect in Magic that you can activate at instant speed. Target a face-up monster in a main monster zone. Move it to an unused adjacent main monster zone. Then destroy any other cards in that monster's column. neither player can use the unused zones in that monster's column. And if this monster battles a monster in this card's column, destroy that monster.
And columns are everything like trap cards behind that monster and monsters in your side of the field opposite it as well?
Yes, so you move a guy over and in a straight line, that entire column is destroyed and can't be used while this guy's on the field.
So I had no idea that Yu-Gi-Oh had this kind of, if this is real, that is, had this amount of like zone manipulation, collapsing a zone like a mine collapse sort of thing. I've never heard of this before, so I'm gonna I'm smelling.
You're gonna put a pin in this one?
Yeah, I'm smelling some dookie here. Smelling some bullshit.
All right, the third one is Kinetic Puppeteer, and this one is a hand trap. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, target a monster your opponent controls, and move it to another of their main monster zones.
Oh god, the name Gearshift Golem the Salted Earth feels, maybe it's too proper for Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe it's not silly enough. Okay, I think the name has given me a little bit off, and the fact that it completely shuts down an entire column or zone in a way that I didn't know Yu-Gi-Oh did, and also sounds quite strong as well for being able to blow up a trap card, for example, in your opponent's turn before you'd absolutely trigger the trap or similar. The Voltester is just absolute nonsense that I don't think you would write. If you have, then hats off to you. And then what Kinetic Puppeteer just sounds like a bad card from the set that doesn't see any play. So I'm going to guess this ludicrous, very cool art though, the ludicrous big punchy gear man is not real.
He is not real. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did it! Are you proud of me?
You did get it. You were on the right track too. This effect does exist in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it is very rare. It is not particularly common. Moving stuff isn't something we usually do. Very few cards that do it, and the ones that do it are almost universally bad. Notably, this would also be a bad card, just because it's like a 2 tribute monster. You'd have to figure out a way to cheat out. Yeah, no, not something that could happen.
Cards that lock a column like this one mentions. Does that exist in the game?
Mostly the cards that do that are trap cards that like punish an opponent for playing in the same column as you. Cards like Broken Line or Iron Thunder, whoever's editing, if you want to throw that up, say if your opponent walks into the same column you're in, you can punish them for it. There's very little that just locks a zone or a column forever. I think the two that come to mind are Ground Collapse, which does what you'd expect, and Iron Dragon Tiamaton, which, like this, locks a zone from play.
My last question before we move on, because again, you explained to a absolute Yu-Gi-Oh baby here, right? I know so little. So when you're playing your average normal game of Yu-Gi-Oh in the current competitive standard or whatever, are you ever considering what column you go in case you get got by one of these column manipulation cards?
Yes. Not because of these cards, but there's a significant amount of cards that say something like, if this card points to an opponent's card, then you can like steal it or something like that. Relinquished Anima is one that gets a fair amount of play. So you do play around columns.
What does points to mean?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, right, obviously. Yeah, that is part of the link mechanic. Link monsters, instead of stars, have an arrow that points to another card on the field. Here's Relinquished Anima.
I've seen these arrows and never understood them. Interesting.
And the point of the arrows is, firstly, link monsters can only be summoned to pointed zones. So if you want to summon a whole bunch of link monsters, they all have to point to each other. But the second thing is some cards are like, let's use the pointing for something else. This one says if it's pointing to an opponent's monster, you can steal it. So you occasionally play around cards like this when doing like column math, but very infrequently.
That's wild to me that I didn't know this existed, because like most big, like, you know, the big card games and most card games take a lot of stuff from other card games, right? And I guess because Yu-Gi-Oh's resource system is so fundamentally different to the rest, because it cares more about cards in hand than it does like mana, Yu-Gi-Oh often gets left out in that, like, let's take from it. Everyone's copying Pokemon because it's big and Magic because it's the OG or whatever. And like, again, like in contemporary card design or card game design, you don't see a lot of positioning mattering outside of like perhaps like the Star Wars game has ground and space sort of thing. So it's wild to me that I've just discovered that Yu-Gi-Oh has this mechanic, and no other card game really, like board games use it, of course. You see it in board games and stuff, and more like closed card games. Wild, you've blown my mind. You've actually blown my mind about it.
Early Yu-Gi-Oh is obviously like totally a direct ripoff of Magic the Gathering, but as it evolved, it started integrating a lot of stuff from tabletop gaming, just because the guy who made it was like huge into tabletops, and he was like, I just expect that this is the next logical direction for the card game to go. This last one is going to be alternative win conditions. There are a smattering of cards, I want to say maybe a dozen, that give you a way to win the game that isn't exactly damage or cards in deck. First up is United Front. Activate only during the start of your main phase 1. During the battle phase, if you have declared an attack with a wind, water, fire, earth, light, and dark monster, you win the duel. Final Countdown says pay 2,000 life points. After 20 turns have passed, you win the duel. Jackpot 7, which is a little more convoluted. This first effect you don't have to worry about, but it says when this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, banish this card, and if all 3 Jackpot 7 are currently banished, you win the duel.
Okay, so you have to have 3 of these in exile to win. Okay, so you've got attack with 5, the 5, is it 5? Is it 6?
6.
6 elements. Pay, you start the game with, is it how much is it? 20,000?
8,000. So
8,000.
pay a quarter of your life.
20 turns is insane. I guess my logic could be like, by modern Yu-Gi-Oh standard, that's, and I'm not even joking, that's like 10 games, right? Your games are over by turn 3. I'm not, comment section, I'm aware the amount of actions you take per turn means
no, they're not going to be mad about it. The game does not last more than 3 turns 95% of the time.
But it's the base level criticism of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because someone doesn't understand the game, right? Like, you only get 2 turns, and then the base criticism back to Magic players is, well, I don't spend turns playing a land and passing. And that's like the very, and you're like, yes, but those 2 things have very different, anyway. So, 10 games worth of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Final Countdown, but maybe it's like an early set card where like the game hadn't, I don't want to use the word devolved, hadn't become that yet. So that might be a red herring. I'm stuck on this jackpot art. Again, is this the
art of a real card.
But it's not necessarily, if that's not the art of Jackpot 7, that's very strange, right? Unless, I guess, the pot itself is a recurring character. Seven's
the pot's
a recurring
in so much
theme.
stuff. The 7 is actually a reference to a card called 7 Completed, which was famous in the anime, so it also gets referenced on a lot of cards.
Right. And is Egyptian-themed slot machines a regular motif as well?
Egyptian theme is. I mean, I don't know if there's any other slot machines.
It looks like
the Pharaoh's treasure. I
feel like I'm literally in Vegas right now, like because of this. It looks like something you'd see in a Vegas hotel. And then United Front has 4/5 of a Magic card in the middle of it, right? Like the back of a Magic card with the colors. Yeah. Oh, this is harder than most of them. Okay. I think it's such rudimentary thing to be like, attack with all 6 things and win. But the problem is, here's the problem. You said there's 5 zones for monsters?
I was hoping you would cotton onto this. There is an extra monster zone above the 4th zone. So to perform this win condition, you would have to do a little bit of special summoning to that zone to get everything full. This would be every single monster at your disposal, all different attributes.
And okay, interesting. So you can't have 2 of the same attribute in theory. You couldn't have a wind water monster.
If you want to win with this card, no.
No, if you had to declare an attack with... That's interesting. But that wording in Magic, I'm pretty sure would be like, you could just have a 6-color monster and win.
Oh,
like Coalition
sorry. To be clear, there are like 2 total monsters that say, this card is Wind, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Dark.
Sure.
So you could get that card out, then attack, then win. But they are few and far between.
I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because you're giving me information that's almost telling me that card is real. Like, okay, United Front seems like a rudimentary design. Jackpot 7, it reads like a Magic card. It really does. I think we have like Jace's something, which is like a card that... So I'm gonna guess Final Countdown? Again, it seems rudimentary to the thing, but I'm gonna guess that because it just seems so, yeah.
United Front was fake. I just ripped off Coalition Victory. I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
I even started to say and thought, don't say the word, it doesn't matter. The viewers at home don't give a shit about Coalition Victory. Did you hear me say it? Like, Coa, and I stopped? Oh, man. You got me. Also, your explanation of it was very convincing.
Yeah, I was just lying. Just straight up lying.
Fuck, that was so convincing. Because then you were like, oh, fuck. You got me so bad.
I will note, I think that this card, United Front, would be bad. Like, it probably would not be good. Final Countdown, shockingly playable. It is. Huh? So you play it in a prison deck. You play it in stats.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It is actually currently on the limited list.
Really? Oh, that's so bad for me. I'm like, this is impossible. You don't do that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, if you just lock both players out of the game, it's similar to like passing the turn with more cards in your library, right? And just let the opponent deck out or something. That must be a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! I assume.
It's kind of irritating. There was an individual guy who did really well with this strategy. His name's Jeff Leonard. He's like 70 years old, and he exclusively played this style of deck. Almost single-handedly brought it back into popularity to the point where they had to start hitting these cards. And Final Countdown is the only one that does what it does, because every other card that wins the game by incremental advantage stays on the field. and like is eventually like subject to spot removal or something like that.
Right,
This one, you
it's-
fire it, it starts counting, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. And so you
Yeah,
just
the
wait.
inevitability is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool. Very, very cool. And Jackpot 7 definitely exists as well. So that art's not from Jackpot 7?
No, this art is from Jackpot 7. It's the Jackpot 7.
Oh, there you go. So I got that. I was like, I think he's used the same art again. I've got him there. But then
No, this card does not see play, but there are some gimmicky ways, as you'd expect, you can get it to trigger without your opponent's input.
with these sort of things then, would you, if you went to an event, would you randomly run into someone who's on a Jackpot 7 deck and
No.
No.
I think once in your lifetime, you would probably play someone on Final Countdown.
So
They,
you're not,
they have not made a good alt win yet.
Okay. I was wondering if like, you go to a large event, like locals or like, regionals or whatever, and then round 3, your friend wanders over and his bad beat story is, I just got Jackpot 7. And you're like, oh.
That could happen. That's a classic local shenanigan. But it would be like they came with the intent to be funny, not to win games.
Sure. Yeah. They're playing a meme, right? They're playing a brew on purpose.
It's like if Battle of Wits was like 12 times worse. Like that kind of thing.
Sure. Because Battle of Wits is probably it's probably our third or fourth. There's better alternate win con cards than that now. Like Approach to the Second Sun is probably our most playable one. And Dragon's
That was
amazing,
the last standard format I was really locked in on. That was a fun ass card.
Well, I kind of find it very frustrating. The fact that it also like has a life gain thing to like upset
Yeah, it's fun
aggro
for
as
one
well.
player at the table.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
It's very Final Countdown, actually. It is very. It's like, well, it's happening. Well, that's it. That's all the ones that I have.
My score was 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. But upon doing it, I was like, I don't know what I expected. He's not going to do better than just randomly picking.
Yeah, like I've played 0 games of actual Yu-Gi-Oh in my life, and I've played I don't know, a dozen games of the 3-lane online digital one.
Mostly with Desperado Barrel Dragon, apparently.